Hello. Something I hear from some of my really happy clientele reasonably regularly is, I would love my mum to come and see you, but she's too old. Or, I think this could really help Dad, but I think you will break him. Now, I hear that enough from people who are obviously interested in the health of their parents or just some old folk in their life. In fact, I got a phone call from my neighbour a while ago, and her mum had been seeing all these silly folk trying to get over this injury that she had. And I told her straight up I reckoned I could help her. And probably a year later, she gave me a call because her mother wasn't getting anywhere and was wondering if I would help her, and then pointed out to me that she is very old. The oldest person I'm currently looking after is 93, which I told her, and her mum was only in her 70s. But when I was first in practice, I'd been in practice for a couple of years, but a guy came into the office. I was in Belmont by then, and his name was, well, let's call him Jim, because that was his name. And Jim had been a patient of the office many years before, and then he had something significant happened in his health, and he'd ended up in hospital, and anyways, it fell off our wagon. Many moons later, has given the office a call, and he's seen the new kid, which at the time was me. This is probably 15 years ago. And Jim at the time was 97, and I was probably 25. And if I had to actually articulate what I thought about looking after Jim, and it sounds really cold and callous, but it would have been something like, this guy is so old he's going to die soon. Why is he bothering with healthcare? And I know that sounds horrible, and I was doing my best with Jim, but I honestly thought it was a bit futile. At the time, we had guys like Jim would have to take off their shirt and shoes in order to come into the office, into my room anyways, and it would take Jim sort of probably 5 to 7 minutes to do that. Old, slow. I'd been looking after Jim for probably 3 weeks, and that time became less than a minute. And that was very impacting to the point that 15 years later, that occasionally floats through my head, just because I was such an arrogant shit of a 20-year-old. But the influence that this can have on older folk can be incredible, because Jim wasn't hoping that I could get him running again, or that he could, dance on one leg or anything too crazy. He just wanted to be able to get up, get about the house comfortably with some level of balance and live his life. And the impact that this stuff had on Jim was incredible. Now, I look after 97-year-old Jim way differently to I would a 30-year-old huge Maori New Zealander guy, because if I did to the Maori New Zealander guy what I did to Jim, he'd laugh at me. And if I treated Jim like the big Maori dude, I'd snap him into small bits. So we temper the amount of force and the way that we would bring that force to an older spine. But you can be properly old and still able to receive chiropractic care very, very safely. We will absolutely change the way that we do things. So whilst we will still do a Gonstead workup or exam, we'll take some films, we may well be using our hands to drive through the joint, but if it doesn't look appropriate to do that, we'll use an instrument, or we'll change the way we do things. The stimulation's still there, so there will still be results, and it absolutely will take a bit longer, because we're not just talking about changes that have happened in here. We're now talking about bones that have ground down in order to put up with the stresses they're under. But older folk can successfully get chiropractic care in a safe environment using Gonstead Chiropractic. I hope that's useful.